Hello Ringuette players and Ringuette fans. Coach Don here with a video on how to use support passes to deal with a team that uses a very aggressive forechecking game. So first we'll look at two examples from my team. So for now I'd just like you to pay attention to the players doing the effective forecheck. So this is my team in black and these are the forechecking players in the kind of greenish outfits. They're hustling to put two players on our ring carrier in our defensive zone. And the result, well, at the very least, they're ticking down precious time on the clock and having our players waste energy as we battle just to kind of move the ring forward a bit. And at worst, it ends up in a turnover in our zone. So let's take a look at this. So there's those two players on, shutting down our player and ticking time. And here's another example. Again, our players having trouble getting out of the zone. Those two players on tight on her. Okay, so here's what to keep in mind when you find yourself in this situation. So how are we going to avoid this happening? For the ring carrier here, she has to be aware what is happening. So here she's got the two players on and gets an escape, but look, the players had plenty of time to come around and get back on her. So she knows that that's happening. That's the first thing. And then the other thing she has to know is where are your support players? So she has a support player here. There's a possibility of a support pass here. For this player, for the supporting defense player, she also has to be aware of that the forecheck is happening, and she has to position herself to be a good support pass option. So not too close, not too far, depending on the situation. And it's really important that she makes her presence known by, shouting out and making sure that there's verbal communication there. So this player is under attack. She's got one idea in her head that she's going to get out of the zone, and you want to snap her out of that and go, "Hey, look, I'm here." So in this case, it would be good for this player to, even right there, she's in a great position, but the player doesn't perceive her as a support pass. So what about in this situation? So player again is hunkered down to try and get out of the zone. This player here could move behind so that the player can see her and perceives her as a support pass. This player here definitely isn't in a good position because there's a player from the other team between her and the ring carrier. So those are the two things that we keep in mind there. Now, the other question is, how can we limit the advantage of the strong forecheck? Okay, hold on there. And we're going to look at Finland for that, and very elegant example of how to limit the advantage of the strong forecheck. So for what they do, it's quite obvious. Once you watch this clip, you'll see is that they practice positioning for when they feel they're under attack with the aggressive forecheck. So what they do is that they get their players to figure out where they should be, where they're needed during the forecheck, kind of like what we just discussed. So let's just give this a watch because this is pretty sweet. And then they go deep. So what happens here is the Finland player gets the goalie ring, and look, she sees these two players coming. She's aware. Look, they've practiced this, so she just gives a pass back along the boards. Why not always know that you have a player there? All right? And then this is really interesting here. So this is also valuable in the neutral zone. So here we have a player, and she sees that this player is pretty well positioned to obstruct her moving forward. What does she do? She knows that the check is there. She goes, where are my other players? She sees this player in sync with her, and no need to rush down the boards to try and get it across the blue line when you have a player here. And what's the result of that? Well, their other player, their maybe their center or their winger, has had plenty of time to go deep into the zone and get a pass there. So there you have it. Now that's practicing positioning to give the support pass. Now there's one more thing that you can do, which is to limit the advantage of the strong forecheck, and we can avoid giving a forecheck time to set up. So if they don't have time to set up, like we saw in those previous examples, we can avoid the forecheck altogether. And in this case, my team shows us how it's done. So here the player, instead of going behind the net and giving these two players all the time in the world to come and get her, she breaks out immediately, knows where her pass option is. Our player is right on the center line, moving that ring beautifully and coming in and getting a great scoring advantage. So let's review. Identify the aggressive forecheck. Know where you should be to get the support pass. Communicate your position. Practice positioning so you know without even looking where your players are, and move the ring fast to take away time for the forecheck, even to set up. So that's today's video. I hope it's interesting and will help you. And this is Coach Don signing off.